All right, first off, starting with you, Omari, what kind of TV shows did you guys watch growing up?
All of the best kinds. No, that's a big question. I love TV and I love movies, so I was always watching a lot of Nickelodeon kind of stuff. Mask, that's like early '80s, up to Wonder Years, and various other, just like anything comic, a lot of cartoons.
Right, what was your Saturday morning like? What was your Saturday morning rundown?
Saturday morning rundown. Now, they used to change every couple of years, but I remember, G.I. Joe, awesome show. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, those guys were dope. Earthworm Jim for a short time. It's hard to remember, actually. There's a bunch of cartoons. Was DuckTales? No, that was a weekday.
I guess when you're a kid, you kind of sit and the TV just...
Whatever it was a constant block.
What about you, Sascha?
I definitely loved science fiction. I was a big Star Trek fan, and anything that took place in outer space, that sort of got me going.
What about your Saturday mornings?
Saturday mornings, there was definitely, do you guys remember the Snorks?
Yes.
Yeah?
All right, yeah, that was like a weird show, but I loved it. I don't know why. They were these weird creatures that had like pipes in their heads. Kind of strange, but I don't know. I guess what I always loved was seeing that in animation you could do things that you couldn't do in live action, and it was this sort of more, this way into the imagination, and that got me inspired.
Interesting. How about you, Yara?
For me, I think my favorite shows when I was really little, I mean, I'm only 15 now, but I used to watch Crashbox on HBO, which had the creepy skeleton that would give you math problems, and I always felt the need to figure them out before the time went up, because then the skeleton would just completely deplete into a pile of bones, which would freak me out. So I'd be sitting there with a little pen and pad, I have to figure this out. Where is the missing number? I am freaking out right now. And after that, I would then watch Time Warp Trio, which were 3 kids traveling through history. And I remember I just watched an episode recently, and I was like, oh my goodness, I get all the references now. Just finishing AP European History, and I'm in AP World right now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was Machiavelli.
Amanda, how about you?
A lot of cartoons. I remember watching The Wild Thornberrys, Cat Dog, The Magic School Bus. So many cartoons. I watched a lot of the Mary, Kate, and Ashley adventures, where they used to be detectives and they would go on all these big adventures, and then it would trail off into watching Animal Planet in the History Channel.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yara, we want to know how you became interested in math and science, and mostly who were your inspirations? Where did that come from?
Well, I've been very fortunate to be surrounded by people who were comfortable with who they are and comfortable in knowing that they don't exactly know who they are at this moment. And that was inspirational for me, because I was the kid that was reading, I had the Grimm's Fairy Tales, the real one, the unedited version, in my hand in 2nd grade. And I was the kid that learned how to multiply at a young age, learned how to read at a young age, and that's just what I loved to do. And I feel like what inspired me was to have parents that accepted that. They were like, cool, let me get you books then if you like this. Oh, let's find things that interest you if you like this. And to have teachers and school experiences in which it really catered to what I enjoyed. I've had school experiences where a teacher was like, tell Yara to relax on the weekends, we don't multiply till 3rd grade. And a week after, I was at a different school in which I was doing math that was 2 grades above what I was doing at the other school, just because that's what I enjoyed to do. And I think being in that environment in which I didn't have to be scared about I don't fit in with the other kids, or the other kids enjoy other things than I do, it really allowed me to just kind of do whatever I want.
Do you try to share your love of STEM with your co-stars?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay, so Marcus, who plays Andre Jr. on the show, we'll get into heated conversations about some random school topic, and people will come in thinking that we're arguing about something really crazy, and then it's no. Okay, so in his science class, he just learned about this and this, and in my science class, I learned something different, and I think we need to find a middle ground, but it will go on forever. As soon as they say cut, we go back to the argument at hand.
That's awesome. Amanda, you have your character has a STEM storyline right now. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
I can. Emma and Mariana are both on the dance team, and they are also both in STEM, and they are the only 2 girls in the whole STEM class. And we actually kind of make a joke about that on the show. And they actually end up using both of those talents to win this big dance competition by incorporating all their coding skills and making these like wonderful light up suits during the dance routines. And it kind of just shows that you can be beautiful and smart, and you don't have to, live inside like a box. You can like push boundaries and.
Right, like Danica said, it's
Exactly.
the prettiness is the icing on the cake, that it's really what's inside your head.
Exactly.
Sascha, I would like to talk to you. I would like to talk to you about Miles from Tomorrowland.
Great, I would like to talk to you about it.
Oh, well, here we go. We saw a couple clips at the beginning, and we'd love to hear for maybe those of you. I have a 6-year-old, so bam. So I have seen Miles. I watched Miles from Tomorrowland for 3 hours this morning.
I'm sorry.
So no, it's really good. It's a really good show. No, it's more like thank goodness she didn't pick something different. So maybe people out there have not seen the show.
Yeah, it's a show on Disney Junior, so it's definitely not in your target demographic. Although some of you I heard recognized Blue's Clues, so maybe you grew up on that, which makes me feel really old.
Blue's Clues.
That's great. And someone here worked at Blue's Clues, actually, who I just ran into. But yeah, so Miles from Tomorrowland is a show that it's aimed for kids about 3 to 7, and it's about a family that lives and works in outer space. Miles and his sister Loretta work with their parents for the Tomorrowland Transit Authority, and their mission is to connect the universe. So both physically by connecting planets, creating a superhighway in outer space, and also socially by making connections between different alien cultures. And so a big theme of the show is family, why it's important to be with your family on adventures, how the adventures you have with your family are even better than the ones you could have alone. That sort of came from my own life. When I found out that I was having twins, I freaked out, and as many people would. And I thought about what's the greatest adventure you could have with a family. And I always wanted to be an astronaut when I was a kid, and that didn't work out. But making TV shows, I realized I could sort of explore what it would be like to be in outer space and be on this grand adventure with your family. So that's what the show is about being on an adventure with your family and how science and technology are an integral part of that adventure when you're in outer space in the future trying to make pancakes on your space station.
But it's interesting because I know you didn't specialize necessarily in math and science in school. And there's so much STEM, there's just so much STEM-inspired storylines on Miles from Tomorrowland. And is that ultimately why you want to do a show about space? Is this your I'm not an astronaut?
It is, in a lot of ways. Like, I wasn't that great, honestly, at science when I was a kid. And I was really interested in it. I went to all these seminars at the planetarium. I loved outer space, but I just didn't do that well. And I gravitated towards the arts. But what I realized, and I wish I had realized it sooner, is that the arts are a way into science as well. And Miles from Tomorrowland, creating this TV show, has given me the opportunity. We work with NASA scientists. We work with astronauts. We get to talk to them about their experiences. We get to incorporate these amazing science facts into our show. And now it's like I'm getting this education in science that I wish I had gotten as a kid. But my way in, that I later figured out, was through the arts.
Interesting, because I know we're here to talk about STEM, but I believe in STEAM, and I believe that art is a very important part of
I think it's all connected.
STEM. Yes. Omari, you are an actual engineer. Did you know this?
Wait, what?
Yes. So how did you know that that's what you wanted to do? Like, do you have an origin story?
Yes.
You look like a superhero.
Well, thank you. I really like video games, is what it came down to. Ever since I was a little kid playing on Atari and Nintendo, and all the way up through Genesis and PlayStation. Anyway, so like in like 5th grade, like me and my friend, we said, oh, we're gonna start like a video game company. Like, that's what we're gonna do. And so that was kind of the thing that made me get into computers. And computers were like really confusing for me for like the first 10, 12 years of my life. And I didn't really understand exactly how anything worked. You know, we have a little Mac for a while at my house, and as growing up, and then went to Windows. And I didn't, but because I like games so much, I was like, well, I'm gonna learn how to use this thing. And then eventually I'll just be a person who makes them for a living. So that didn't work out exactly as planned, because I've found about all the other interesting areas of computer science. but that was what got me into programming and computing. And then I just I heard some things about the video game industry that's kind of like rough hours and everything, and I was like, well, let me just see how the other aspects of other programming industries are like. And then that's basically how I got into programming.
How many of you guys are interested in becoming engineers? Whoa.
Wow.
So do you have any, you've got a captive audience, you have any words of advice for them?
Well, I've got a lot of advice. First is do well in school. Try your hardest, get good grades. That really helps out, getting into a good college. Also, just curious, do people know like what type of engineering they want to go into? Anybody?
How about you back there?
Software. Okay,
Over
software.
here. I saw some hands over here. Yeah.
Aerospace. Sounds good.
Mechanical.
Mechanical. Okay, well, like a wide variety. That's awesome. I know less about the other various engineering aspects and majors. I have a lot of friends in those. It's good to, this may be a little bit early, but once you get into college, you can maybe join some groups. I was in NSBE, National Society of Black Engineers, and that kind of hooked me up with also like-minded people who were like engineers, and also just happened to be black, which was cool, as I am. Basically, there's that social aspect, which kind of helps out too. When you join clubs and things like robotics club and stuff like that. As for software specifically, just keep using computers. Just keep doing everything you can and try and do a little bit of programming. I think there's a lot of gateways. If you're not sure about it, there's things you can start off easier-wise. For example, like web programming is something you can do immediately without downloading a compiler. Just work around with some HTML, some JavaScript, do that kind of stuff. I actually started in BASIC, but that's not like on computers anymore, so that's different. Just kind of try and expose yourself to all that stuff. And really, really a good thing for any major, if you want to go into English or arts or stuff. Just expose yourself to that so that you're prepared for college and for your career.
You're talking about, it's very important to be with like-minded people and people who can inspire you or you can work together with them. So do you think it's important to see this kind of more diversity on screen in order to get young people interested in a career in engineering or in STEM?
I do. I think for me, it wasn't always the biggest deal. I never saw like a lot of black programmers on TV, but I never really saw a lot of programmers on TV. All I know is that my parents both instilled in me the idea that I can do anything, no matter what. Like, I could be president, I could be whatever. And I believe them, and that was the best thing they ever did for me. And I think that all of you should take that deeply into your heart too. You guys, each and every one of you, if you work hard at it, you can do anything that you want to do. No matter if you're black or white or female or male and transgender, cis, anything. That's one key thing I want you guys to know. But having that media exposure, I think, is important, just so that you can, not only just for your own sake and kind of being, oh, that's an inspiring person. That's really cool to see Neil deGrasse Tyson and he's like talking about the cosmos and like, yeah, this is actually a positive black role model I'm seeing on TV. There is that aspect of it. But also I think it's important to have that media presence for other people who have these, may not even be aware of stereotypes they have kind of engendered in their head. Just, like if they see a name, they automatically make assumptions. There was this study done a few years back, basically where they sent these resumes out to different companies, and they had the exact same resumes, but they would change the name to from a more English, maybe white-sounding name to or black name, like Keisha versus Tyler or whatever, And then they would get the companies would be more responsive to people who had less ethnic-sounding names. And I think part of that is because a lot of us have ingrained in us, through the media, certain ideas of who's going to be better at their job, who's going to be an easier integration into the company. And when you have people on TV, in movies, who are kind of challenging that notion, you know, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, you go, okay, well this is just an engineer. This is this person here. This is just the president, Morgan Freeman, in Deep Impact.
Tell us a little bit about Science Sleuth.
Oh yes, so it's a super cool game. Well, I partnered with DoSomething.org and 3M, and it's actually a game that you can play on your phone, and it's a texting game where they'll text you clues, and you use STEM to solve these clues to figure out where, who's stolen this missing money. And basically, the importance of this game is that after solving who's stolen this money, you unlock this donation that goes to a classroom in need. So it goes to classrooms, I know right now, in Minneapolis and St. Louis, and they're hoping to expand. But it's a really cool way to just get involved because it's something so easy as, like, we always have our phones on us now. So just send a text, and then it's like when you have the time to read the text that they sent you, just respond. And it really gets your brain working too.
Nice. Amanda, so Yara's trying to reach a mobile audience, but TV, very powerful way to inspire young people. And your character, there was a team of Google engineers that actually advised on your character and making her real. What do you think it means for viewers to see relatable and well-rounded characters like Emma and Mariana?
I think that it's something super positive. I think that it's super great. I feel like Emma is a character who is always pushing boundaries and stuff and showing that, you know, girls and that you guys can do anything. I mean, if there's anything that you want to set your mind to, that you want to do in life, that you can definitely do it. And I can totally relate because in school, I mean, I was involved in so many weird and like different groups. Like I was in pep and cheer. I did competition dance growing up. I was a part of this CART program, which was a Center for Advanced Research and Technology, and I worked on multimedia communications about how the media and TV reaches out to people, and about graphic design and web design. And so kind of like, I didn't really know, you know, where like I was supposed to fit in high school and stuff. And then I kind of learned through that experience that you don't really have to fit into any mold, that you can be whatever you want to be.
You can just be yourself.
You can just be yourself.
Right. And if someone doesn't like you, that's too bad for them.
Yep.
Can I jump in
Yes,
about
please.
a character that similarly, like the Fosters, our show, we got to work with some folks from Google, which was really amazing, and learn about how coding works, because I really had no idea. But we really wanted to promote science and show kids having science as like an integral part of their lives. And they told us some statistics that were pretty intense, and the one that stuck was that only 18% of computer science grads are female. I was like, really? Like, wow, that was big. And so we realized we had an opportunity with the show with the character of Loretta, who's like an 11-year-old girl, that she was already into tech, but what if we made her a coder and a programmer? And so we've developed that storyline. It's been really cool because we've been able to show it to female engineers at Google, the script, and they would give us feedback, and that episode's going to be on in just a couple months. And it's been a great collaboration, but also I'm hoping that kids see that image of Loretta, kids at a young age, and just think it's normal. Like, it's just, what's the big deal about a girl coding? And it just becomes part of the culture. And I could see you guys being Loretta, like kind of grown up. You know, hopefully that'll stick.
And the mother, and Phoebe Callisto too, is a really positive role model.
The other thing that was really important, we wanted to shake up stereotypes as much as we could. I mean, as we all know, the media is so powerful in terms of what you put out there, and we know that millions of people, millions of kids watch these shows, and that's a huge responsibility. And one of the things that was one of the very first decisions I made was making the captain of the ship the mom. To me, like, the mom is sort of the captain of the family, you know, and it made sense, and it wasn't something I'd really seen before, especially in kids' TV. And it's something that really people have really responded to. It's been nice. And the easy thing too would have been to make the dad like the doofus, you know, like who's just like bumbling and like like, sits on a jelly donut or whatever, and could have been funny. Actually, maybe we should do that. But then it's like, well, the mom's super on top of stuff and everything's tight, but the dad's like losing it, and it's like, why can't both parents be really smart and really competent? And so he's a little. So we, that was a creative decision we made. The mom is like sort of very buttoned down. She's got everything figured out. She's in charge, but the dad, he's got like a Zen sort of. He's mellow. He's a little mellower, but he's like a great inventor. So it's like we can still find comedy, we can still find drama in these characters, but you don't have to put anyone down.
He's funny, but he's not stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I want to jump in.
Yeah,
if I can.
Jump on.
But I think like one of my favorite quotes, it's on my Instagram bio, which I tweak a lot, but it's, "I rebel, therefore I exist," and it's an Albert Camus quote. And it's one of my favorites just because it's like, part of what makes me me is that there's nothing to define me. I'm nothing to define any of us, really, and that quote speaks to me, and it speaks to really everything I do, and even choosing a project like Blackish, in which it came at a really pivotal moment in this nation's history and what's going on currently. But for my character to really evolve, and the writers have been very aware of creating a self-conscious, a very smart, driven young woman versus a stereotypical teenager that you might see that's always on her phone, where Zoe's running her own business, and there's an episode in which she's in the office and she's made her own pitch, and she knows how to pull the team together. And of course she has those moments in which she's texting her friends, but it's a really complex, multifaceted thing, because you really can't define anybody in one word, or nobody's one-dimensional, and I think that should be portrayed, and I'm so happy to see that portrayed on TV.
Which leads me to, Omari, what else do you think could be done to make science seem more fun to people who are scared or intimidated by it?
I guess to make it seem more fun, I like science projects. I always thought that was like a lot of fun as a kid. Showing the applications of actual sciencey stuff. In media, for example, also, I don't know if you mean just on media or not, but like when you show programmers, there's like lines and lines of code, and people are like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna like hack into this thing. But to show actual useful, like, made this program, and it allows us to do this, it sends these communications. I guess they do that to some extent. It is kind of cool. Just realistic uses of things. If you see a chemist, you see like vials of stuff, but to actually know, oh, okay, well, no, they helped make this drug that saves people's life because they combine these things.
Right.
One thing to jump on that, one thing we learned from the Google engineers was, like, we're trying to figure out how do you explain coding to a 5-year-old. It's kind of a complex thing, but they helped us boil it down, and basically, and tell me if this is wrong, and I hope it's not, because it's going to be on TV very soon, but basically we say that coding is giving instructions to the computer to tell it what to do.
Yeah.
Okay, phew. But like that was like so helpful, just even for me, like as I write these scripts and try to figure out how to portray it in a simple way, and like how we can show that it's not something scary. It's giving instructions. Like that's a really simple way to understand it, and then we can take it a little deeper after that. But once you have sort of like a baseline understanding, hopefully that's the first step.
And you have a science consultant on the show. Do you start with the story and then find a way to integrate the science in, or do you start with the science?
It can work both ways. Like our stories can either start with like us like getting inspired by a really cool action movie we just saw and wanting to do an episode just like that, and then figuring out, like, so for example, we have an episode where the Callisto family, Miles and Loretta's family, is chasing an ice cream shuttle that's out of control. So it's a little wacky, it's funny, it's fun, it's exciting, but we wanted to get a science fact in there, so we talked to the rocket scientists we work with at NASA and said, can you help us find a way to integrate science into this? And he said, well, what if they're and something that will make it even more dramatic, even more exciting. And he was like, well, what if instead of just like crashing into a random planet, you make it Io, the 5th moon of Jupiter, which is full of lava-spewing volcanoes? And it was like, perfect. There's nothing scarier than, the only thing scarier than an ice cream shuttle crashing into a planet is like crashing into a planet of volcanoes that are going off. So then suddenly we had this even more exciting action sequence, but we can also give this fact that like the 5th moon of Jupiter we know has volcanoes, which is like kind of amazing that we even know that. But it's woven into the storyline in a way, hopefully, that just feels natural and fun.
Last round of questions. We only have about a minute left. But Amanda, I'd like to know the feedback that you've gotten about your character.
It's crazy the feedback that I get, and it's so inspiring too, because I'm hearing from people that are in STEM or with girls who've tried out for the wrestling team and stuff, and they're like, I'm so happy to see these kind of characters on TV because this is what I'm going through, or this is what I love, and there's not a lot of characters on TV that are like these girls, like Mariana and like Emma, and I think that our writers are so creative, kind of bringing back the smart. It's like, it's cool to be smart, you know, and it's really touching to me to hear some of these people's stories that they're sharing with me, and I think Twitter is a great way to communicate one-on-one, and
it's an exciting thing to be a part of.
It is.
Yara, would you like to see your character get a STEM storyline?
See, that would be really cool. I would like to talk to the writers about that. I mean, Zoe is already very advanced, and they've made Junior really into technology and video gaming and programming too. But it would be cool to add that component to it, because she does deal with making videos, she has her own blog, she has her own business, so it'd be cool to just kind of add that in and integrate it into a storyline.
Do you see yourself leaving acting and becoming a scientist someday?
Oh my goodness, it's so funny the amount of plans that I come up with, where like one day I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be a nun. I'm pretty sure that's what I'm gonna do. And then the next day it's like, you know what, the CIA is for me. And then I learned that you have to learn how to like do push-ups to get into the CIA, so I was like, that's not for me. But then it turned into history. I keep changing. I think that's what I love. Okay. So it was right now I'm settling on like sociology. So I'm like in the social sciences right now. Like sociology, big history, and advertisement are like the things I'm slowly settling on, and then I'm probably going to change next week.
That's okay. We'd like to open up for questions if any of you have questions.
It's not necessarily a question, but I just wanted to like more of a thank you, because I was one of the girls who was invited to talk to the writers of The Foster, Wade and Megan, and it's one thing to kind of go ahead and tell your stories to these writers, but knowing that they're interested in hearing what your experience was and then seeing it accurately portrayed on TV, and these characters, you know, actually kind of like you see a part of yourself in the experience that you're going through, and then hoping that it inspires other girls that are going through the same things. You know, it's televised, people can go ahead and see it, and it's just so inspiring to kind of go ahead and see that these people are interested in hearing what you have to say, and hoping that it'll inspire a new generation of viewers to pursue their interests. So I really want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Right here.
Thank you. Do you think though there's ever times where like there are ever like walls sometimes in the entertainment industry that can keep you from maybe giving accurate portrayals of people, or times where you might not, like things can keep you from doing that per se? Do you know if there are things like that?
I can speak to that a little bit. You know, sometimes it's just timing. You know, for me, it was really important that Miles and Loretta, the main characters of the show, were biracial. It's not something we make a big deal about in the show, but his grandparents are Chinese, and so that's a part of his identity, is that he's biracial, and it's a theme of the show that they're exploring other cultures, and within himself there are these other cultures. But originally, I wanted to make him African American and Caucasian, biracial, and the only reason they said no was because they had another show that had an African American character as the lead. And they just thought it would be too similar, and they wanted to differentiate them, and we thought a lot about it and came up with this. So, I mean, that's just an example of, you know, not anyone trying to not do the right thing, but just it was like, we can't do it that way, but we can find another way to make what you want work.
I feel like for Blackish even, I think what's nice is we do touch a lot of subjects that other shows don't like to talk about, not even don't like to talk about. They're subjects that you don't see very often. And what's lovely is that even though it seems like a risk to the network, is to see the response that it gets in turn. So what allows us to do what we do is the response from the viewers, the response on Twitter and Instagram, that allows the network to see that people enjoy this. They enjoy seeing things that relate to their actual life versus just this mystical, magical magical life in which everything's perfect. And I think that's really what helps us break down the barriers that used to be there, that are still there. And it's really just seeing these people that are like, that happens in my family and I get it, or that happened to me yesterday. What's funny is like when I feel like the writers are like spying on me in my house, because I'm like, I just had the conversation about the nod. Like I cannot nod, and I'm slowly learning how to nod properly. I go like this when I see people. And when I saw the script, I was like, oh my goodness, this is me. I'm Andre Jr. in this script. And seeing like my brother, my real life brother, is Zoe. Like he's my character and I'm Andre Jr. in my house. And to see the response from other people is what allows us to be like, people enjoy this. We can just keep covering these subjects.
Omari, I'd like to end with you. I think a lot of people in here would like to know what is the best part about being an engineer, and why would you encourage the people in this room, all those kids that raise their hand, why would you encourage them to follow in your footsteps?
The best part of being an engineer is, for a lot of people, they don't know what programming is, and I like to describe it as like doing a puzzle. So my work is, I go into work every day, and I get to create fun puzzles, basically, and solve them. And it's like the best job in the world. Like, I really enjoy it. Even before I came to Google, I've had other programming jobs, and it's just like, it's really cool just to kind of make these worlds with your fingers and see the end result of your work on the computer screen, and it's like, the computer does this thing that I said to do, and it does it perfectly, except for that one bug that I'm gonna fix later. Anyway, so that's really like, sorry, it seemed like it's a two-part question. It's like, what's the best part of?
Yeah, what would you say to encourage them to, why should they want to solve those puzzles?
So you should do it because, well, the first and foremost is because you're interested in it. It's if you're not interested in computer science and like it bores you and you just can't get into it, then sure, do something else. But if it's just like an exciting thing and like you want to be one of those people who makes video games or ads or or whatever software there is, you know, Microsoft Works. It's just actually working in that and having your fingers in the code is super fun. Also, the money's good.
That was another statistic that Google told us, that there are a lot of jobs coming up and in the next bunch of years when you guys are going to be looking for jobs that are going to be in the computer science industry, and they need people.
Oh, that's just to interject. Also, because it's one of those jobs that will not be automated. It's one of those harder to automate. If there's a lot of things coming out, like software is kind of becoming something that takes away other jobs, which is kind of a blessing and a curse. You know, we've got the self-driving car, which is going to be awesome for everybody except Uber drivers. So it's also like a pretty secure thing, and it's infiltrating everything. If you can make a website, then you don't need to pay somebody else when you start your business of whatever business it is. You can do your own website. So just learning for that reason is also a great reason.
Well, thank you all very much for being here today. Thank you.